Steve, if this same news came out about Marco Rubio or any other Republican candidate for that matter, would they be finished? And, look, you advise the GOP. What would you advise the Clintons in this? We've called them the Teflon Dons of politics. I mean, what would you advise the Clintons with the revelations in this book?
Well, I don't think Hillary's going to take my advice. But, look, I do think that, and if you're asking me if there's a double standard here in the media, I think there's no question there is. And if Republicans had been caught in this kind of situation where they were basically taking money from foreign governments and from foreign operations and then giving out, Hillary was essentially giving out favors to these companies, a kind of quid pro quo, I think the media would be all over it. So far, they've treated it with a feather.
Has this come out early enough that the Clinton political machine will be able to handle it? Because this particular, I mean, listen, they'll just push it off as some conservative hit job. But the documents in here are factual, the tax documents, the government documents. It's all there very plainly to read, regardless of the motivation of the author, Peter Schweizer. I mean, it is pretty damning, would you not say?
It's all documented, right. So here's kind of the story. I mean, basically, we find out about a month ago that Hillary was taking all these foreign donations, and now we find out from this book. I haven't read it yet, but I've seen some excerpts from it. And if it is true, then basically what you find is a quid pro quo, a kind of cash-in, cash-out system. That Hillary, when she was Secretary of State, was taking donations from these foreign governments to the Clinton Foundation, and then lo and behold, some of these companies and some of these governments were getting special treatment at the State Department. That's something that smells like a rat.
What's Hillary's biggest issue, other than maybe this is the biggest issue, but what about the economy? What's her biggest problem as she heads into this campaign?
Look, I think, in fact, I just wrote my own column on this, that I think her problem is one of hypocrisy. That's what the H stands for in her name. She's been running around the country for the last several weeks talking about, the fact that CEOs make 300 times what the average worker gets, and that she's going to, reduce the gap between rich and poor, and how much she cares about poor people. Meanwhile, we're finding out that she was getting $200,000 to $250,000 to get a speech for about an hour. I wish I could get those kind of speaking fees. And we find out that the average worker who was the waiter at those hotels she's making more in 1 hour that the average worker makes in 2 or 3 years. It makes it very difficult for her to play this kind of class warfare card because she's gotten rich off of this stuff.
She certainly has. And